the huge G20 meeting, a Logan with a PhD who is a tax cut killer, ETFs becoming cheaper, and are we looking at a super rip-off? I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard. And we're mad about money.
Okay, the G20 meeting, we've got Donald Trump and Xi Jinping getting together, hopefully over dumplings. I hope they're coming out arm in arm as friends, and a trade deal, Paul.
Well, you're an optimist, Peter, because I'm not sure that anything's going to happen this weekend. But look, there's some noises, and we've been through this before, and I guess there'll be some more positive noises, whatever happens. Yeah. But whether it's going to solve the problem, who knows? I tend to think that Donald's pretty serious about this, and the Chinese are pretty serious as well as to not wanting to be steamrolled. But look, we'll see what happens.
But a trade deal, Paul, will a trade deal be good for economic growth, good for not cutting interest rates, good for job creation, good for the stock market, good for superannuation? Well,
it'll be good for everything, right? I mean, you remember that, look, tariffs are a tax, right? And of course, what's happening in the US is as you put tariffs on Chinese goods and inputs, the cost of production for many US firms goes up.
Yeah.
And so that makes it, their profit margins go down. And that's starting to hit in some of the companies in the Midwest. You're starting to see reports of US companies laying off staff or at least cutting production because their production costs have gone up. So tariffs aren't good for anybody. I mean, that's what people forget. So, look, I guess there's pressure, but look, Peter, I'm just not quite on your
well, I'm hopeful.
You're the glass half full guy. I'm the glass half empty guy.
That's right.
Perfect team. We'll see what happens. But look, it is going to be good for the market. Okay. It hasn't all been built in, Peter, because I think there's lots of people like me saying, yeah, maybe. Okay.
I want to talk about Labor's shadow treasurer, Jim Chalmers, who his own party have described him as a bogan with a PhD, and apparently he's talking about killing the tax cuts, the stage 3 tax cuts. Is this a good idea after the May 18 election?
Well, look, I'm not sure that Labor wants to be talking about tax at the moment. I mean, I also don't know why the Morrison government sticks with it to some extent, because it is so far out in the horizon.
2024.
Look, so much can change. So I don't think this is a make or break for either party. I can understand why they're sort of playing it tough politically.
It's testosterone.
Yes, testosterone. Morrison's got the sort of the heads up.
We won.
We won.
I lost.
Plus, there's still a good chance he'll get it through the Senate anyhow. Yeah. Doesn't need Labor, but he doesn't want to let this drag on either. I mean, if he can't get it through next week, I think someone's got to give. But look, Jim Chalmers, look, he's trying to make a mark for himself, Peter. I think the jury's still out. He's had a lot of very conflicting positions in a very short space of time. Well, I can't get a read on where he stands.
Well, Jimbo has a PhD in communication. He was arts, communications, and political science. That's what he's. Yep. I really wish it was in economics, because he actually did say, well, we might even knock back the existing tax cuts in the third stage if the economy's soft. But if the economy's soft, that's when you need tax cuts. If it was inflationary, I'd agree with him, but not tax cuts.
I mean, the last sort of great Labor thinker was with a PhD. He probably didn't, was Kevin Rudd, right? Also a Queenslander, so we've got to be a bit wary about these Queenslanders.
He had a doctorate in Chinese, did he?
Well, he had something, right? But anyhow, maybe he thought he was the smartest guy in the class. Maybe Jimbo does as well. But look, let's see. I mean, I think everyone wants us to move on. We need the rebate, the tax rebate that you'll get when you lodge most people will get when they lodge their tax return. That has to happen. That's important for the economy. So let's hope the parties can. Someone either gives in or we move ahead, and by the end of next week we're off tax and moving on to something more important.
I hope Jimbo, the bogan with a PhD, actually makes it. Okay, ETF becoming cheaper, Paul.
Yeah, big war from the ETF, started by Beta Shares, which introduced an ETF that tracks the S&P ASX 200, the most vanilla of ETFs, at 7 basis points.
Unbelievable.
We've seen iShares follow suit. Its iShares is owned by BlackRock. It's IOZ that's gone from 15 to 9 basis points. Vanguard, which has VAS, that tracks the S&P ASX 300, gone from 14 down to just 10 basis points. So if you're a believer in index tracking ETFs, and look, they can be useful for at least a way to get into the market and also manage a portfolio, particularly just when you want to focus on market risk and not stock risk. Look, some pretty attractive ways to do it. Probably doesn't match the bid and offer spread on dealing in the stock, so I wouldn't be moving it just for a few basis points lower in spread, but it's good to see them coming down. And I guess what it keeps on doing, Peter, is pressuring the active market to reduce fees. So all you
they have to outperform.
Well, they have to outperform. So all you investors out there and some of the active fund managers, and where you've invested in the funds management business, I'm not sure this is an industry with hugely supportive tailwinds at the moment. So I caution...
Only the good ones will survive.
Only the good ones will survive. You've got to make sure you're on a good one, because it's going to get tougher out there. And fund managers are under pressure on fees, and the lower the index funds go, the more pressure on the active managers.
Okay, I've built it as a super rip-off, Paul. Is it a super rip-off we're looking at here?
Well, look, this is changes for the 30th of June. I think, importantly, Peter, look, just deal with the start. Today's Wednesday. If you want to make any super contributions, do it today, because your fund has to get it by the 30th of June. Yeah. Generally, BPay will take 2 days. Even your own fund has got to be banked.
Good point.
So if you're going to make additional contributions, do it today. Two other things that are happening. So the government's tightening up on the inactive accounts. I think they're good moves, Peter. Inactive accounts under $6,000 are going to be consolidated, probably long overdue. But the other change is going to affect some other people is the changes around insurance with an inactive account. Now, if you're in that situation, your insurance company, your super fund should have written to you. So some people, for example, who run a self-managed super fund might have an account with Australian Super or Rest just to take advantage of their insurance policies.
Yep.
Right, if your account there is inactive, that is that you haven't made a contribution in 16 months, they're going to have to close that insurance policy or cease the insurance cover.
So your money will stay in the super fund.
Your money will stay in the super fund, but you won't be able to have an insurance policy. So, and that's been done to protect lower paid people from being ripped off by just
insurance premiums
killing it. But people, who've deliberately taken a strategy of opening an account just to get access to insurance could be impacted. So all you've got to do is tell your super fund that you want your insurance policy. They should have written to you, but if you're in doubt, contact your super fund and say, I want to keep my insurance policy.
How much would you have to contribute each year to keep your account?
You just have to make a contribution. So it can be whatever their minimum is. It may be as low as $100. It's not going to be much. It's not going to break the bank. It's money to super. It's all going to remain yours. You've just got to make sure the account is active as opposed to inactive.
But one person might come a cropper if they're putting their full $25,000 in their self-managed super fund, and they throw an extra 100 over to that.
We'll make it a non-concessional contribution, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so look, that's again a good point, Peter. You've got to be careful about that, but you can make it a non-concessional contribution. It may only be as low as $10. I don't know what the minimums of some of these funds are, but they're not very high.
The important point is you should be aware of it. I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard.
And we're mad about money.